Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Welcome to all the adventures. Spending a few days with my Ish's Chayil, 30-year anniversary. So we are going to limit the emails and things like that, anything to save some time. Shorter shiurim, Be'ezer Hashem. We'll jump right into the sponsors. The Koil is sponsored for the month by Binyomin Rosenfeld, Hatzlach Business. The Masechta is sponsored for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh, Zechraya ben Moshe, Yedidya Pereira, please Daven. For padion, Shvuyim, Yonathan, Yehуда, ben Michal, incarcerated, denied bail in Ireland. Parnas HaChodesh, Binyomin Rosenfeld, with gratitude to Reb Biderman, Reb Eli, Gedale, Fenster, and Michael, Safdie. Parnas HaShavua for complete Refuah for Brochel Abigail Bas Rachel Gita. Parnas HaShavua official Mitzvah Motivators, the Schus Refuah Shleimo Yaakov Shlomo Ben Yedidya Pressman, father of MD Elchanan Pressman, Zedi of MD Elchanan Hefter. Parnas HaYoim Yoni Weiss, Linishmas Miriam Basasher, Parnas Hayoim, in love and memory of my father, Reb Shmuel Ben Chayim HaCohen, on his 25th yard side in Shom Shel Daven Aliyah, and Miriam Basasher, the Shom Shel Daven Aliyah. Art of the month for Zechus, for Rebelli, and the whole MD Weiss staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. Boys, so we're going to take it back on Daf Yomi Beis, Rava Omar. I appreciate that the Olam is still holding, even though it's been Zmanim. Different people are doing different trips and vacations, and there's a lot of things going on at home with the kids, sending them to camp, not camp, doing things. So the fact that you're still doing this and you're not being makbid, that I am in Chutz La'aretz, v'chulu, 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 I have a kars hatoiv. So we were discussing here one picture we have of the Hebrew Shir in Eretz Yisrael, which is going strong. The Olam comes to the Beis Medrash, and here's one of the reasons. They don't do this every night, but occasionally they have something nice. And tonight you can see Benny with his phone in his hand and an MDY sticker on his phone. Let's see if I could zoom in here. Oh. Okay, that's Benny. And Yisrael Lichter, and I forgot, this is one of the star Hasidim that comes every single night to the Beis Medrash. He learned in Panovich, actually. And he and his partner, they do real estate, and he gives me a lot of chizuk. It was his push that we should start a yeshiva, etc. So here they're doing a barbecue. Looks like they bought brand new grills over there. Anyway, right outside of the Beis Medrash, they barbecued, and then they brought the food in. Givaldik. Yishkoyach Gadol Ma'od to Rebeni. So we were discussing, let's say there's a property that was owned by a ger who died without children. The property is hefker, so you could come and acquire the property for yourself. So there's different ways to acquire. You take a shovel, you go rafak bapurta, you could whatever you do. If it's a house, you close it up, you lock it, you open up a wall, you build a wall. As we learned, different shiurim, etc. We learned that if there's a meitzer, there's a mound of dirt that runs through the property, it divides the property into two. And if you do whatever thing you do on one of the two properties, it doesn't work for the second property. Rava Omar, afilu le'inyan Shabbos. The Meitzer and the Chatzov here, let's talk about the Chatzov, they have the same halacha regarding Shabbos. It divides a property. Here's Chatzov. We could show you a little bit of a video if you want to see. Here's somebody that lives in Eretz Yisrael. He claims this is Chatzov. Here we go.
Hi everybody. Right now, I am actually right outside my house, across the street, and I want to show you something fascinating. If we look at the plant that's growing behind me, that plant is called chatzav, or in English known as sea squill, a common name. And this particular chatzav, as we say, is what Joshua, when he was marking the borders of Israel, he would actually use this plant to show the borders. And why? Because it has a very, very big basal. Basal means a bulb, like a onion kind of thing, and it's pretty big. It's about 25 centimeters, and they really grow down deep.
Okay. So anyways, you're saying that the chatzav has a bulb on the bottom, it can grow very large, but the point of the chatzav is, as you want to see later on in the sugya, it doesn't say it, but we know that Yeshua divided the land with the chatzav because it doesn't grow into other people's properties. The roots grow straight down. So says Rava, the same halacha that we have by a ger, we have by Shabbos, and the Gemara is going to go into it. The Sanya. And this we had yesterday, but it's kedai to see again. Here we go. If anybody wants to see these halachas, first of all, I'll put them on the screen real quickly because our Hebrew editor worked hard for them. So Yedidya Seisur, Yedidya Shabbos. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, so the way it works is that in order to be chayav, shoygig, or remezid on Shabbos, it has to be helam echad, has to be one awareness. One awareness if you do half an act. So over here he's just showing you that he did a chatzi. Oh, I didn't show the first one, sorry. I didn't push the right button. If you do a half and a half, if it's in one awareness, according to Chacham, you're chayav. According to Reb Yosi, you're chayav, but if it's in two separate properties, you're pater. So that's what we're going to see right now. Hoitzi chatzi gurigeres l'shus harabim v'nicha v'chazar v'hoitzi chatzi gurigeres. Here, this is Yoshi's thing. Person goes and puts a half a dried fig in the middle of Rishus Harabim. Then he goes back into the Rishus HaYachid, Merkez Daf Yomi, and he takes and puts down another one. If you notice on the left side, there's even a sign that says, do the daf, right over there. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Do the daf. A lot of detail here. Gewalt. So, since it was in one awareness, in other words, you knew that you thought to yourself, let's say it's Friday, you didn't chap it's Shabbos, so that's shoygig, or the opposite, if it was amazing, you knew it was Shabbos. So, in one awareness, chayav, yichayav, korban chatos. B'shnei halamois, potter, if there are two awarenesses, in other words, in between you realize it's Shabbos, then you forgot again and you thought it's Friday, then you're potter. If this happened in one property, like over here, you're chayav. But let's say it happened in two properties. Here you have two separate Rishus Harabims. He goes, puts down the dried fig over there, goes back, check this out. He comes out in another Rishus Harabim. Why? Because the Rishus Harabim is divided and separated with some sort of thing. That's what we're talking about. Is it separated with chatzov? Is it separated with a meitzah? What is it separated with? Because whatever separates a property for a ger separates a property for Shabbos as Rava. It's not good enough when you have a little fence like this. It has to be that it's a real property dividing the Rishus Harabim, the Rishus Harabim. Aval karmelis loy. So here, well, this perhaps would be not so much a karmelis. A karmelis is not a Rishus Harabim, not a Rishus HaYachid. So it could be this. He's trying to say that this is a smaller street, but I like this. This is a karmelis. So in between the two Rishus Harabim, which are 16 amas, massive Rishus Harabim, there's a place called a karmelis. It's not a Rishus HaYachid, not a Rishus Harabim. So if you have that dividing, that doesn't divide, Abai Omar Afilu karmelis, even a karmelis divides the two Rishus Harabim, and if you go from one to the other, then you are potter. Or if you put one half a fig in one and one half a fig in the other, you're potter. Aval pisla, if it's a piece of wood, loy, Rava Omar Filu pisla divides. Now, the pisla, since it doesn't have the 4 tfachim necessary to be considered a shus, so we call this a makim p'tur. Makim p'tur. So the makim p'tur, serves as the same. If it's in a Rosh Hashanah, so the Mokim Tur is like a Rosh Hashanah. If this piece of wood is in Rosh Hashanah, it's like a Rosh Hashanah. Va'az the Rava l'tamei, the Omar Rava, Rishus Shabbos, Kirshus, Gitin Dami. So, let me tell you what's happening in Gitin. We have a person who wants to divorce his wife, and he doesn't want to give her the get, he wants to throw it into her Rishus. Now, she doesn't own property. So what does he do? He lends her property temporarily, so that he can throw the get into her property, and she's divorced. To his luck, he has bad aim. He threw the get, and the get lands on a piece of wood on this mokim p'tur. The loch is she's not divorced. Oh, so if she's not divorced, that means it's like we're considering it its own category. So therefore, it has the ability to divide and separate different rushuyos. That's what the Gemara is saying. Just like Rava says, by get here comes the husband, and he tosses the get to his wife and it lands on this beam. She's not divorced. So, just like we say she's not divorced. Why? Because the piece of wood is its own rishos. So too, the piece of wood can divide a property into two. Let's say you're trying to acquire an enormous piece of property that a ger left over, 400,000 acres. And you take a shovel and you go like this in one of the acres. Are you kind of 400,000 acres? How much are you kind of? If it has a border and it's very defined, this is the property. Okay, so you take a shovel and you're kind of. But there's no border, there's no chatzah. What do? Perish Rebbe Marinus Mishmoi, Rebbe Marina said in the name of Reb Yochanan, Kol Shenikras al Shmoi. As long as this property is called the name of the property of the ger, then you're kaina. Omer Av Papa, the Korle Bay, Gargusa de Planya. They say this is the field that waters from a certain well. So perhaps all 400,000 acres are not all part of this well. They have other wells, they have other names. And Memela, you're not kaina, you're only kaina whatever acreage is associated with this well and has this singular name. It's not called the fields of the ger. It's called the field, singular, the field, not fields with the S, field of the ger. He said in the name of Ravasi Bar Chanina. Chatzuva mafsik b'nichsi hager, as we said. Let's see the picture because it's gewaldig. Here, the chatzuva can divide the field in half, and if you acquire the right side, you're not acquiring the left. My chatzuva, Omer Rav Yehuda Omer Rav, what is this chatzuva? Says Rav, Shaboy tichem Yeshua liYisrael es haaretz. Yeshua divided the Eretz Yisrael. He divided Eretz Yisrael, the land, with this chatzav. He didn't put up fences, white picket fences. He put up chatzav. And one of the hints he was trying to show us is not to infringe on your friend's property. Chatzav is very direct. It goes down, straight down. It doesn't go to the right, it doesn't go to the left. It's very important to remember, Rabbi said, it's important to remember, not to take what's not yours, not to go into your friend's property, not to use his pencil without rishos, etc., etc. We learned in this Masechta, who wrote Sefer Yeshua? This is a hard one. Yeshua himself. Yeshua himself wrote Sefer Yeshua. What else did Yeshua write? The end of Chumash Dvarim, the last 7 psukim. So Yeshua, when he wrote his Sefer, he only counted those cities that are on the border. Ooh, there's more here. Let's see what Kobe did here. Okay. Shus Achas Chayav. Abaya Rova. I don't know what he did here. Okay. three shitas. What's two Rishuyos? According to Rabbah, according to Abaya, Carmelis, according to Rava, even a piece of wood. Okay. Yavalde. So says the Gemara, Omar Rav Yehuda Omar Shmuel. Kol shero HaKadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe Chai b'Maiser. We just read this Shabbos, Parshas V'Schanon. Moshe pleaded V'Schanon al Hashem. He pleaded to go into Eretz Yisrael, and Hashem said, "No, I'm going to show you Eretz Yisrael." I guess through him seeing Eretz Yisrael, created Kedusha. Show you Eretz Yisrael. So anything Moshe Rabbeinu saw, Yechai b'Maiser, like the mitzvahs atluyis ba'aretz chiyuv meiser. Lapuki mai, lapuki keni knizi v'kadmoini. These three. So if you look over here, these are the 7 amim. The chiti prizi Refuah memori knani gir gashi yivusi. And these are the 3 that Akash Baruch Hu said that not yet. Keni knizi kadmoini. And mele they're not chayav in meiser. There are those who want to say that today Keni Knizi Kadmoni is already conquered in the modern day Israel. It goes up south or down south towards Eilat, and I heard different things from Reb Eliashiv, the Chi of Meiser now, even in Eilat, etc. It's like it's the what Mashiach is going to come and conquer. So they already conquered these 3 Keni Knizi Kadmoni. Tanya Reb Meir Oimer, Tanya Reb Meir Oimer, Naftucha Arva V'Shalma. Where are these Keni Knizi and Kadmoni? So according to Reb Meir, it's Naftucha Arva V'Shalma. Reb Yehuda Oimer Har Seir Amoin Umoyov. It goes something like this. Amoin, Moyev, and Arseir. Reb Shimon Oimer, Al Disokis Asyo Vaspamyo. Aspamyo, we had once that it's Spain. In other words, Eretz Yisrael is going to go all the way out there to Spain. That's the enlarged Eretz Yisrael that we're going to have in the time of Mashiach. Some say it's Syria. Akopanim, there is a shita, and we spoke about it, how it's a direct line through the ocean, etc., all the way to Spain. All the Yidden are going to come, everybody's going to have enough room, it's going to be Gedale. Says the Eilagi Mishnah. So we're going to learn some fascinating halachas. Shalom Aleichem to those that are on Zoom right now, on YouTube, 14 people on YouTube. Think about this. You need Eidim to testify you were in the field for 3 years, nobody disturbed you, nobody protested. What if you have a set of Eidim for year number 1, and a separate set of Eidim for year number 2, and a separate set of Eidim for year number 3? Is it mitzdarif? Do they come together or not? That's one thing that we're going to learn. Another thing is, what happens when we have Zoymim? So not to be confused with Hakchasha, very, very simple stuff. If 2 Eidim come and say that Reuven had 3 years of Chazakah, so it's his field. Another 2 Eidim come and say, you're wrong. He wasn't there for 3 years. So it's 2 against 2, and they go away, and Memela, nothing happens, no Eidos. But Hazama is when they don't talk about what happened with the Chazakah. They talk about the Eidim. When 2 Eidim come along and they say that the 2 Eidim that testified that this person, Reuven, had a Chazakah for 3 years, they say, no, Imanu Hayisem, we were on a cruise and we witnessed you on that cruise. How could you say that you witnessed that this person had a Chazakah for 3 years? You're with us. Imanu Yisem. So the halacha of Imanu Yisem Zoymim V'asisem loy kasher zoma. If we find out that the original Eidim were liars, they were on a cruise ship, they have to pay sometimes even with their own life. If they wanted to kill somebody with the testimony, we kill them. But if in our case they wanted to take away a field that belonged to, let's see, I think we do have, goes like this. There's a guy that tried to sit on a field for 3 years. He's called the Machzik. He tried to take the field away from the. His name is Murakama. Two of them came along, and they said that Ruvain is the real owner, the true owner. He was there for 3 years. They wanted to benefit him $600, take away $600 from the guy on the left. Now take a look at the screen for a second. Two of them come and say, Imanu Hayisem, you're liars. We were on the cruise ship. You were there with us. And Memela what? You tried to defraud the Murakama of $600. Memela, you too, the shorter Eidim, they are going to have to pay the $600 to the Murakama. That's normal. Mishalmim lo yizakol. We found out that they're liars, but not just liars, they were somewhere else completely when they testified at the time of their testimony. They have to pay the guy on the left, the Murakama, the entire value of the field. What if you have 3 sets of Eidim, 6 Eidim total? 2 Eidim testify that there was a chazaka in year number 1, 2 Eidim testify there was a chazaka in year number 2, 2 Eidim testify there's a chazaka in year number 3, Daf Yomi Amud Beis. Mishal Shalim B'neihem. So now the $600 divided by 6 people, it's $100 per Eid, or $200 per set of Eidim. What if there were 3 brothers? Reuven, Shimon, Levi are brothers. Reuven testified for year 1, Shimon testified year 2, Levi testified for year 3. But you need 2 Eidim. So a random guy, Gamliel, he testified in all 3 years, but each year he took 1 brother with him. So a total of 4 Eidim. Reuven testifies for a third, Shimon testifies for a third, Levi testifies for a third. And Gamliel testifies for half, basically. Or all 3 years, but he's only worth half. So says the Mishnah, the big chiddush, that even though you think it's 1 chazaka, no, but each one is testifying on 1 year, so they're not the Those 3 brothers could testify. But it's 3 eduyas. Yet, in order to be mazim them and to say Yimanu Isem, we must be mazim all 3 brothers and the other guy, Gamliel guy, in order to be mechayiv them the 600. The turning of the Daf, sponsored by Yisrael Share Construction Management and Supervision and the Life Share Community Protecting Families today, before tomorrow's unexpected loss. By Kidnovations LLC, in honor of my Uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman and official, and this is Chus, Akiva Simcha Ben Fayga, and Yehuda's Bas Yafo Chayo. Yeshar Koyach. Says the Gemara, Masnisin, the Loik Reb Akiva. We have a little bit of a problem. Our Mishnah doesn't line up with the Reb Akiva, the Sanyom Reb Yosi, Kishalach Abba Chalaf Teitz Reb Yochanan Ben Nuri Limon Torah. So right here we have a very interesting halacha. It says here that Reb Yosi said about his father. The Rishbam says this is his father. Abba is my father. Chalafta was his name. So he called his father by his first name. As a Akiva Eiger, how is it possible? Some want to say, since he said Abba, it's okay. I call upon him and he said, or Ba'amri lo Reb Yochanan Ben Nuri Eitzel Abba Chalafta Lilmei Torah. Maybe Rabbi Yochanan Ben Nuri went to learn it by Abba Chalafta, or perhaps Abba Chalafta went to Rabbi Yochanan Ben Nuri. But the bottom line is, the Rabbi Yochanan Ben Nuri said, Amar Loi, we asked him our question, what if there are 3 sets of Eidim on 3 different years? Do they add up to 1 chazaka? Amar Loi, Areizu chazaka, it is a chazaka. Amar Loi, Afani Oimike. Yes. Says Abba Chalafta, I agree. What can I do but The Gedale of the Tanoim, Reb Akiva, the Rebbe, he says otherwise. Reb Akiva Omer, Davar v'lo chatzi davar. Famous pasuk. I'm starting the pasuk from the middle. Api shnei edim or api shloisha edim yakum davar. It needs to be a complete testimony. Your testimony has to be the entire testimony. It has to be all 3 years in order for you to testify on a chazakah. You can't testify on a third. So it's a beautiful sugya. Logically speaking, if you thought about it, how is it possible? What situation could an aide perhaps testify on a partial thing and it will be okay? And how do you differentiate between the two things? So right now by chazakah, Rabbi Akiva says it doesn't work. You cannot testify on a third. According to Chachamim, you could. What could you not testify? And what could you testify? Davar v'lechatzi davar. Rabbanon, hay davar v'lechatzi davar, may avdilei. What do they do with this word davar? Api shloisha edim yakum. Finish. What's davar? Davar is a thing, an object, a testimony. What does it come to exclude? Ileima says Gemara, it can't be this case, but it's a similar case. Ileima lemuti echad omer achas begaba v'achas omer achas bekreisa. When it comes to a boy who becomes bar mitzvah, it's not 13. It's 13 and simanim, 2 cyrus. When it comes to a girl, 12 and 2 cyrus. So what if there's certain situations where women, they testify. Sometimes it's men. Very rarely though. But let's say, in a case where the men are testifying, and one says, achas begaba, on her back, v'achas oimer, achas bekreisa, on her stomach. In other words, in 2 areas. I didn't see 2 simanim, I saw 1. One was over here. And the other 1 aide comes and says, no, it was over here. Okay, now between the 2 of them, we have 2 simanim, but each one is testifying on 1. Says Gemara, that for sure is no good. Echad oimer, achas begaba. It's over here. No, it's over there. They're not arguing with each other. They're saying I saw 1 here, and the other one says I saw 1 there. Perhaps it could be mitzvah. No way. It's a half a testimony, because you need 2 eidim to testify on 2 simanim. Over here you have 2 eidim. Each one is testifying on 1 siman. No good. I don't need a pasuk for that. Ella, what do I need a pasuk for? The mutei shnayim oimrim achas begabo, shnayim oimrim achas bekreisa. We have a total of 4 people. 2 of them say we saw 1 siman over here, and the other 2 say we saw 1 siman over there. Okay, so now we have 4 eidim that are testifying on 2 simanim. Zechraya, that should be good? No, it's not good. Now, this is a beautiful svara here that the Rashbam says. Rashbam says, if you have 4 eidim testifying on 2 simanim, all you need is 2 eidim to testify on 2 simanim. They both saw both. But if 2 eidim say we saw 1, and another 2 eidim saw we saw 1, no good. Ask the Rashbam the obvious question, so why did the same Chachamim hold that if 2 eidim said we saw Chazaka in year number 1, and 2 eidim said we saw Chazaka in year number 2, and another 2 eidim said we saw Chazaka in year number 3, they are mitzvah. Why is that different than 2 simanim? 2 say we saw siman 1, and 2 eidim saw we saw siman 2. Says the Rashbam beautifully that when the eidim are testifying on simanim, they're not testifying on the full edus, on the full testimony. They're testifying right now today. What do we have today? Today we have 2 simanim, and 2 of the eidim only saw half of that. So they're testifying on half. Whereas by chazaka, what do we have today? We have 1 full year of chazaka. So I'm testifying on the entire year of what I have right now. Right now I'm testifying on everything. Tomorrow, that's a new edus, and that's another 2 people are going to testify. And they'll testify on the entire thing that they saw next year. Omer Rav Yehuda. Here we have a very, very simple sugya, and That's it for today. I'll just say about peh, literally it takes 20 seconds. If you have two Eidim testifying on a chazaka that they saw that the person planted wheat, but one says I saw wheat and the other one says I saw that he planted barley, and they were testifying for the exact same time, says Reb Yehuda, it's a good testimony. Why? Because people get confused between wheat and barley. That's the whole sugya. Let's see inside. Echad oimer achol achitim. V'echad oimer achol soyer. One Eid said he was eating wheat. One Eid said he was eating, he planted, not eating, he planted soyer, barley. Harezu chazaka. So we have a little question and answer, and then we get to where we came from. Matzgul Rav Nachman. Elo me'ato echad oimer achol rishoyno shlishis chamishes. So Rav Nachman wasn't sure, he didn't understand that we're talking about the same time. He was, obviously, if they're talking about the same time, says Rav Nachman himself, then they're contradicting each other. Eid 1 is saying that they planted wheat, and Eid number 2 says they planted barley. How can you make a testimony like that? They're contradicting each other. So Rav Nachman understood that we're talking about different years. So he says, what do you mean? You can't testify about different years. Eid Echad on year 1, 3, and 5, and an Eid Echad on year 2, 4, and 6. Hachenami, Davi Chazaka. No way is that a Chazaka. Rav Yehuda, no, you didn't understand. When Eid number 1 is testifying year 1, 3, 5, and the other one is 2, 4, 6, obviously they're not testifying about the same thing. So you don't have two Eidim on each year. You have one Eid on every year. Over here, both Eidim are testifying about the same chazak, about the same year. Just what? You're asking me, but it's a contradiction. He's testifying about barley and he's testifying about wheat. Michael and Meimar. People don't comprehend. They don't pay attention. They look very similar. I bet you if you took a piece of barley and a piece of wheat and you showed it to me from 2 feet away, I probably wouldn't know the difference. So maybe people get wheat, but they're testifying about the fact that there was a chazaka done there for 3 years, and that's the main thing. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.